guys are big Ninja Turtle fans? Everybody? I like to... Guess they don't like them that much. Oh, yeah. Excellent. Now, but for the group we've got here, we have an amazing cast from one of the most amazing franchises. And dare I say, if it weren't for the popularity of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, we probably wouldn't be here celebrating the Power Rangers. Because it's something that's successful. Yeah, go ahead. Put it on the Ninja Turtles.
You know, this Steve is very astute because he's absolutely correct on that.
That's it, and everything goes, and having the live-action Ninja Turtles right after the animated version was something that they didn't do. I mean, Batman was fairly new still. I mean, superhero movies were not necessarily a thing, and then this one comes along, and it's so unique because I guess it's kind of a kid's movie, maybe, but no. I watched it the other day, and then very little of that seems like a child's movie. It's like these guys are turtles. And we're not laughing at it. Like somehow it worked, right? It was you built the universe believably in a way that was fun.
That was Steve Barron.
Yeah.
That was Steve Barron and John. Tom Fenner. Was it John Fenner or Tom? John Fenner, who was the DP. He was the director of photography. And you know, oftentimes we think of kids' movies and they're kind of bright and sunny and happy and everything. And this was dark and moody, like. I think like kids. And they were really unsure after the movie was made, like, will anyone, this is not your usual kids movie. And they did a screening at Paramount with some of the executives from New Line, and nobody was getting it because they weren't kids and they didn't watch the cartoon and they didn't. And so they thought they had a flop on their hands. Thank you.
Thank you.
A waterman,
Yeah.
bringer of the water.
Yes.
Takes a village
And
to
your
raise
kind
us up.
and your people. But anyway, so they drove around that first weekend, like that Friday, to just see if their careers were over permanently. Or if they would never recoup
you get one shot
this money,
sometimes. Yeah.
you do. And although some people feel upwards. But no, I mean, because it's a crazy industry, and they were really thrilled to actually see people in lines, circling the block, and they were like, oh my God.
Well, you know what was so cool about it? What's interesting though is the way that was initially kind of conceived and executed was with the comic books, and the comic books were dark. I mean, that was the thing. But I thought Steve Barron, the director, he really kind of crafted the look to kind of reflect that, but there was the balance of kind of this youthful fun, and it was able to get that out of the Turtles, yet still have that kind of darker, kind of feel. The next one, the second one, the Ooze and the Back in Time, they got a little more family friendly. But I thought that the first one actually was more akin to what they really wanted to do, but yet more accessible for young people.
Yeah, I agree.
And what was interesting, as Judith was saying, is that, okay, when they thought it was going to be like, oh no, it's going to be a flop, it was the largest single opening weekend in the history of independent film. No other film in history up to that point had the largest weekend opening, and it was like $6 million, which at the time, those in 1990 dollars is a lot more. Yeah,
it was actually the highest. It was the highest grossing independent film of all time, up until it was beat by My Big Fat Greek Wedding, which about doubled it. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That is a neat piece of trivia, though, and it's good that you do that.
And they're so similar, My Big Fat Greek Wedding and Ninja Turtles.
They actually have a Blu-ray of both movies that you can buy.
Yes. And we were going to do a crossover movie.
Yeah.
You should see the action figures.
Yeah, My Big Fat Greek Turtles.
And we've got bottles of Windex.
Oh my gosh. No, it's fantastic, guys. This is awesome. And I'm glad you guys have come back. It had an impact on your lives, obviously. Your careers have gone on, and you've done many other things since then. But obviously, Ninja Turtles near and dear. Were you all big in the business already by then? I know Brian was. I kind of want to go down and talk to everybody.
Right, yeah.
But I wanted to talk a little bit. Obviously, this is a Ranger convention, but it's all things pop culture. And Brian is one of the only living people who was on both Star Trek with William Shatner and Star Trek The Next Generation with Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, it's really funny because,
Yeah.
you know, I was like this little kid. It's like the first thing I've ever done.
Okay, Brian, how old were you when you started acting?
Minus 27. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I was, minus, I'll be honest,
Baby.
minus 12
Wow.
is when I started.
Wow.
When I was a little kid. And what was interesting is that I remember, you know, this Star Trek. It was so, just to kind of veer a little bit,
Of course.
you know, being on the bridge of the Star Trek Enterprise was really like going into somebody's garage and, you know, kind of hanging out, because the panels, all it was like, you know,
Absolutely.
cardboard
Never meant to be seen
and
today.
wood,
Yeah.
you know, painted blue and red, and maybe they'd have a light shining on it, right? And so it was so remedial, and it was so interesting, but it was kind of really fun. It was like it was a real neat thing as a little kid. It was a kid's playhouse.
Very colorful too.
And the like, you know, Shatner and everybody was so nice to us kids. And so years later, what was interesting is they called me up, the producers of Next Gen, and they said, "Hey Brian, do you want to do this thing?" And I knew Jonathan Frakes, who was,
I love him.
yeah, he's great.
Jonathan Frakes, everybody give it up for Jonathan.
He played number one. Yeah, he played number one.
I guess so.
Anyway, so he says, "Do you want to do this thing with Jonathan?" I go, "Yeah, I'd love to." And so it turns out years later, people had pointed out to me that, do you realize that you're like, there's only like, you know, 15 or 12 of you in the world who did an original Star Trek and then come back to do any one of the later series, whether it be TOS or any of the things. And so it's funny, now I'm told there's maybe 3, possibly just 2 of us left. So
That we're both,
that were in
Well, I
one
see
and
now.
then came another. So maybe I'm thinking I might be the last one standing, God
Oh my
willing.
gosh, I know.
Right?
Also,
Anyway.
I'd like to point out that I just referred to Star Trek The Next Generation as current and now, despite the fact that that was, 25 years ago now, geez. Wow, but I was like, oh yeah, the new Star Trek, The Next Generation, yeah, you're on that. No. Yeah, but
It goes by so quick.
Well, we've all lost our relationship with linear time.
that's
It's one
a
of
very
the
true
side
thing.
effects of COVID.
I think that's true of all of us. Yeah, that's very.
I have to say, Brian, I love that episode. I mean, I love Star Trek, anything, but
You know what he's doing?
Good, yeah, for the episode.
It's
yeah.
so funny, I
Good
remember
show.
it.
Yeah,
It's
the show.
hail, hail, fire and snow, call the angel, we will go. Far away, for to see, friendly angel, come to me. And there was this Gorgon, which was this famous attorney, Melvin Bella.
yeah.
Who came,
What?
he was the Gorgon, yeah.
Played, that was the guest star in that show.
Bella?
Melvin Bella was
There was
Made
some
a
really
cameo.
interesting episodes of Star Trek.
He was the king of torts.
Casting with politicians.
Yeah, and he actually, just as an aside, Jack Ruby, who killed Oswald, who killed President Kennedy, he was the attorney for Jack
And
Oswald
he lived in what? In San Francisco?
in San Francisco.
Yeah.
The king of torts, they called him. A little bit of interesting trivia for you guys.
More importantly, he was on Star Trek.
And more importantly,
That's what I just remember.
thank you, Steve.
He
Yeah.
was also in My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
No. It all comes together. It all comes together.
It's these
No, but-
full circle moments.
Don't you love
We
full
live
circle
for
moments?
them.
So you've been in generations of Hollywood, or Star Trek, the next generations at least. But Judith, in Halloweentown, obviously. This is yeah, my goodness. Well, the Disney Channel original classic Halloweentown, obviously playing Win. I would be remiss not to ask about working with the late great Debbie Reynolds.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, what were you going to say? No, but
Yeah.
of course.
Well, actually, it was the compelling thing to do it because at the time, the Disney Channel, we were one of their very first movies.
DComs didn't exist
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
time.
And so it was like, and my association with Disney Channel was kind of vague and like, is this like real? Like what's going on here? And then when they said that Debbie Reynolds was doing it, I was all in. And I know I got the job because the head of the Disney Channel, he was the president of the network, his son Charlie was a huge Ninja Turtle fan. And it was like, and as I had to go in and meet with him and meet with a couple other people, and he was telling me that, about his son, and he was like, well, we're gonna have to get a picture from you, and I walked out and went, well, that's yay, yay. But she was amazing to work with. She was truly a legend. She came up, she's one of the last people who came up through the Hollywood star system.
Right.
She had an incredible work ethic. She was absolutely funny, like you cannot believe. She had a million great Carrie Fisher stories. She had great Hollywood stories. She just was amazing, and she was very generous with her time, with her stories, with her tips, and so many things. And I loved her, and I think my only regret is that I didn't reach out more to spend more time with her. I think I kind of felt like, it's different Reynolds, you know. But I think in retrospect, it would not have. She would have been thrilled.
One of those things that she would have enjoyed, but you're like, I don't want to bug her.
Yeah,
But now, you know.
bug her.
Yeah, that's it. Be annoying. That's what I learned.
I know.
That early on. Gotta be annoying.
I'm just getting more annoying as I get older.
Don't we all? But you know what? 2020 happened, and now nobody cares. We're like, you're annoying.
Exactly.
So?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, there you go. That's a blank pass, or a free pass for everybody too. Not you guys. I'm just kidding. But no, that's amazing. And I mean, we've got more for you. We've got more for everybody. We'll go down and talk a little bit more. Francis, still over here. I know the microphone is up.
It's on now. Yeah.
Oh my God, it's fantastic. Obviously, playing one of the coolest villains of all time, the Shredder, is a really neat thing. There you go. See, that's perfect. Oh my God, it really is him. Whoa. Whoa, I didn't know it was you at first, but now I'm terrified all of a sudden. Oh my God. But you've been in a ton of other things as well. You've done a lot of Hollywood stuff, Lost, The Expanse, Criminal Minds episodes.
Yes, I think I might be the old geezer here because I think I'm older than all you guys. Yeah, I think I am. Yeah, but if you watch TV or movies or whatever in the last, I don't know, 40 years, you'll go, oh hey, there's that guy. I don't know. Yeah, I know that guy. He's in. I don't know who he is, but that's the guy. That's me. I'll show up in a bunch of stuff. It's amazing. When you did Star Trek, the first one, you were like, what, 5, 6, 5?
Yeah.
And then when you did Next Generation, how old were you then?
I don't.
Was that how much older? I don't know if I can break
I don't even know what year.
Yeah, I don't know if I can break the record, but I did I guest starred on an episode of, remember the show MacGyver?
Oh yeah.
Right? The first, the original one.
Yeah.
And then I did a guest star on the MacGyver reboot. And I found out there was 29 years in between.
Whoa.
I was like, whoa.
It goes by so
It
quick.
does.
But it felt just like last time.
Yeah. It does.
It's longevity, my friend.
Yeah, well,
That's
you
it.
know.
And again,
Gotta give it up,
you're
that's it.
falling by the wayside.
Well, you know, Francois is one of the few Asian faces on television actually spanning those years. You know, Francois is one of those people who've been around for a very long time, you know, working. You know, so you didn't see a lot of Asian faces back then, so.
Yeah, it's you know, it's amazing. I was just talking to somebody the other day that it really like warms my heart when I watch TV now. I just see Asian American actors in series all over the place. It's great. It's great.
About time.
Yeah, you know, everybody, yeah. So you know, but
Are you trying to make us cry?
no, but is it amazing that here we are? It's been 30 plus years, and we're still. It's like, it's crazy.
Surreal.
Yeah.
But it's because you leave through your careers and through your performances a legacy and a lasting effect on people, right, guys? That's why you're here. And that's why we do it. And so
We love you.
And it's like and it's so like what you said, linear time has no meaning anymore.
Right.
You know, because it's all, you know,
Lost that
we guys are here, it's like, oh yeah, this, you know. And sometimes little things, oh, the other day this happened. Wait, that was 1998.
Like, can you even remember what you ate yesterday? It's
No,
like, what was
no.
yesterday?
But I can tell you what episode of a show was on,
There you
know,
go.
on Thursday in 1999.
Right.
And who guest starred on it.
Yeah.
But it's crazy. I know you guys have some questions, but while we're here, I'm going to go to Ken really quickly. You got a new book out, or a book at your table, right? Is that correct? If you wouldn't mind talking about that, you brought it. Excellent. There you go. Something to talk about. But you, I wanted to ask you about wearing the turtle suit, and I'm sure other people would want to ask that too. But
Read the book.
it's in there, yes.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry about the mic.
Fantastic. Teenage Mutant Ninja Time is becoming the real Raphael, and that's R-E-E-L, the real Raphael.
To distinguish,
Yeah.
because there's so many different people involved with turtles. There's
Yeah.
cartoon, animated, voices, everything. So I tried to do something on there. Doing cons for so long, you run into people who are so interested in the process, especially Ninja Turtles. It's such a unique thing. It's not just a regular movie. There's costumes and animatronics and interacting with human actors all involved. So people love to hear interesting stories. I know I did. And over years, all the different stories that you hear the different actors and performers tell, I've told so many over the years that I was able to put them all into a book, ultimately. And I was racing because I thought, man, this is a good idea. Why hasn't somebody else from the movie written a book? So I wrote a book. I wrote it in time for the 30th anniversary of the movies. And it's basically the story of how when I was 12 years old, I decided I wanted to be an action hero in the movies. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to be Bruce Lee, Jean-Claude Van Damme. Chased my dreams, eventually found myself on the set of Ninja Turtles playing one of the foot soldiers. Then one of the guys that got to be Raphael got hurt. I took his place. I became the new Raphael for the next few movies. And then for 2 movies after that, all the stories about making it. So that's what that book is. If anybody wants one, on Amazon, they're $9.99. Go get it, it's totally worth it. Here at the con, we got them, they're $50 autographed, but we do have them. So if you want to read a book, check it out.
I just wanted to interject really quickly. I got one of his books, and I read it, no joke, and I freaking loved it. I loved that book. And what was so interesting, I was telling Ken, I said, you know, this would make such a great movie.
Yeah, the story of the
story, because it's one of those kind of things that whether you're a boy, girl, guy, man, female, you can relate to it because you see the heart of this character, this person, Ken, happened to be that character, who wanted so badly to be a Ninja Turtle, and just what he had to go through and the stories behind it is so fascinating. And when I called Ken up after I finished the book, and I just told him, I really, really love this book, no joke. And so I'm telling you, that's a terrific little book. It's really cool.
I really appreciate that, Brian. And if you could talk to the people from Star Trek, maybe they could produce something.
Exactly. You've got it in with multiple generations.
One of the things for anybody who is, like trying to accomplish something that is wonderful about this book is the tenacity that Ken had and the belief that he had, and he kind of just imagined himself there combined with he worked really hard. Like becoming a martial artist is not, easy, and I think that that's one of the things that sometimes gets lost when you're wanting to pursue something, especially these days, like so many people want to be influencers and stuff like that, and I think remembering that you really have to put your heart and soul into it and be willing to work and make some sacrifices and do that, and then you will attract that dream to you. But there has to be some motion in it.
It's got me sitting up on the stage with you guys talking about incredible long careers, so it all paid off. It all worked out.
That's the longevity. Give it up for it. Yeah, absolutely. Well, it must have been somewhat nice going through Hollywood before TikTok and before Instagram and before, because now every celebrity has a full-time other job where they have to be relevant out there.
Yeah.
And you at least got to live in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, or continue to. I did, past years still doing stuff. I don't mean that, but I don't mean to insinuate otherwise.
Yeah.
But yeah, having both eras of that, pre and post social media.
Putting boundaries around it, and I definitely have friends who are like, oh, I've got to post, and when I get into that headspace that I've got to do that is when I don't do that.
Yeah, it becomes a chore. It becomes like
then
anxiety
it's like,
that you don't need.
Well, and it's a mind thing. So
It's oppressive to live as a digital immigrant.
there you
It
go.
is. You have to have a brand instead of an identity.
There you go. Whoops.
But it's getting dark. All right. On that note, however, though, I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to have some questions for our panelists here. And I know one of our people here at the convention, Josh, has a few as well. I'm going to take the mic to
Hi,
Josh
Josh.
first, or bring Josh up. Come on up. Give it up for Josh. Everybody's been volunteering. I know Josh has a a few questions for a couple of you guys, but also while we do those questions, I want to play a quick game with you guys. It's called Ninja Word Sneak because we like to play a little game with each of our panels, make them fun. Each of these pieces of paper has a word on it, and you just need to use that word in the story about what you're going to tell. There's nothing hard about it, and it's just
How will everybody know if you use the word or not?
only you'll know, really. Actually, I know what the words are, so I'll probably. But you know what? I won't be paying enough attention, so that's true too.
There we
No.
go.
That's all right though. But you know the words. Think about them. Try to use them, and then we'll make a ding 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 noise when you do. It's a game. We're having fun. Anyway, Josh, you do this. Here you go.
Alrighty.
Josh, everybody.
Hey, Josh. Hi, Josh.
So, one of the questions that popped in my head, I don't know if any of you have read the recent Last Ronin comics that has come
Wow.
out. If there was a possibility of you guys wanting to, if they end up doing a live action version, would you want to do the same thing, or would you want to stay as a guest and watch from the other side?
Oh, that's easy.
Well, I already know your answer on that.
Yeah. Bring it on. Yeah. It would be quite the enterprise if they did that.
Oh,
It would be.
There it is. Her word was enterprise. That's why I made sure you didn't get the word enterprise.
There we go.
No, yeah.
It would be, I mean, it's talk about dark.
Oh, yeah.
It's dark. I think I'm down to one arm and one leg or something.
Yeah.
Or if I might be completely gone by now.
No, she's
She's still there? Yeah.
Yeah, it's her daughter.
Yeah, it was
Casey's
Casey's, yeah.
And
It's-
you've
Oh,
got
spoilers.
like your arm cut off and your leg cut off?
and we're down to one turtle.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's spoilers, we
Yes.
shouldn't tell.
Yeah.
But the last Ronin is dark.
Yes.
But that one turtle's skills are going to be so incredibly aerodynamically, uniquely talented and effective in exploitation.
That was good. I mean, yes.
Stuck that right in there. That was especially good.
So, what about everyone else?
I have to admit, I don't know what you're talking about, so.
Basically, a summarization of Last Ronin is basically the grandson of
Right,
Frederick
Kevin, yeah.
literally goes and attacks the turtles while they are at their weakest point.
Right.
And one turtle is left alive to basically avenge their brothers, and with the help of April to finally put the Foot Clan to rest, so to speak. So, 'cause they do have flashbacks of Shredder.
Don't like the idea of that book, man.
So if your agent called you and said, here's a contract to be in
Yeah.
this film, would you like to do that?
Is that a trick question?
Well, I don't know who that remaining turtle is,
Yeah.
but for Leonardo, if it is, and because it's so dark, maybe I could use my lower register instead of this one. It's cowabunga.
Yeah, because in
That
that,
voice is taken. That's a much better one.
If you guys don't know it, that's where Christian Bale got his Batman voice.
yeah, because it is about 45 years in the future for the movie continuity is what I was
Right.
reading off of it. So basically, it takes a deep left turn from what a lot of people are not used to. If you read the original ones like I grew up with, that's how dark it gets.
Wow.
And they make sure that like everyone got affected by this. It wasn't just the turtles. April's been affected by this. The whole town's been affected by this, and even everyone knows about what has happened and what has transpired in that time period between the 30-year gap.
Wow.
Check out The Last Ronin.
That's a good promo. I gotta take this back on. That's a good promo. We got a lot of audience questions. Josh, everybody is part of our team. I think we've got excellent. Now look at all these names going up, you guys. This is exciting.
I suggest you start on one side and then go diagonally across.
Ah! Ding, 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 ding. Well done.
But I love how the hands are aerodynamically placed in the air.
There they go waving
Yeah.
around.
I'm gonna save mine for really something weird.
See what we can do. Let's start in the front. We will go diagonally across. How about that? Here we go.
Hi, for Police Academy, did you get like training with the police or a day to spend with some real police officers?
Actually, yes. They had people over, and you know, it's a comedy, so we wouldn't have to do a lot of real police procedure. But it was, I don't know if some of you don't know, I did a couple of the Police Academy movies as well. And what was so interesting is, yeah, we did spend time, but really we were just more kind of huddled together, seeing how we could more comically execute. But I have to say about this thing, I also did a film franchise called Revenge of the Nerds, where I did several ones. And I did the first one, and I was supposed to do the second one, but instead of doing that, I was given the opportunity to do Police Academy. And so it just so happened that Sergeant Callahan, she's the blonde, the buxom blonde, who's, yeah. Well, she and I knew each other. I did a stage play with Ricardo Montalban. He was Rourke in Fantasy Island, if you don't know. Anyway, so we were doing the stage play in Los Angeles at the Music Center, and we went on tour, but she played my sister's mother and one of his wives in the play. So I knew her as a kid. And so years and years later, when Leslie Easterbrook is her name, when she got the film, Police Academy was such a huge hit, she got really famous. When the opportunity came up for me to, audition, actually, it was written for a character named Ramu. It was an Indian character, so I would drive I used to be able to do it, I can't do it now, but I used to try to do an Indian character and kind of do a comedic way to do it. And so I come in, even though I'm Asian, looking Japanese, so I come in with this Ramu thing, and they say, "What are you doing?" What? Forget it. I said, he said, "What do you mean?" Yeah, do something. So I just did a different version, Asian, of the character, and lo and behold, they gave me the role, and I just wanted it because I wanted to be the lover of Leslie Easterbrook. And so I opted not to do the second Revenge of the Nerds, just so I can be with Leslie Easterbrook. So I did a couple of those, and that was fun. Yeah, thank you for asking.
Not a bad problem to have, getting to choose the project.
Yeah.
Based on the girl, especially.
Yeah.
We'll go here next.
There you go.
Hello.
Yeah.
I just want to say really quick, I appreciate how this turned into a Star Trek adventure for like a good 8 minutes. So my question is still Turtles related. I was always curious about this, how y'all guys felt. How did y'all feel about the miniature weapons used after the first film? Just like looking at it. The diminisher, the Turtles' weapons being used after the first film, because I know that was like a big deal that I read about, because he was like saying the first film was so, darker and stuff, like Leo sliced Shredder and everything, it was, and then when you go forward, it's just like, oh, we're trapped in a net. It's like, you got swords, dude, cut the net. That's why I was just curious about, how did y'all feel about all that being toned down going forward and stuff?
Because the first film was so, I love the first film because I like the darker, kind of version. But, because they got a little pushback a bit, and it's supposed to be for kids, and I heard that, it's a little too violent and it's a little too, so, I got to do the second film because they toned it down. The second film is kind of like just a Nickelodeon film, and it's all, just a lot more kid-friendly, and I was like, I watched the first film and I thought, oh man, this is great. When I got the job for the second one, and I thought, oh, I'll get to do some stunts and jump around and do all of that. And then come to find out when I started doing the second film that they toned it down, so all Shredder did was just kind of stand around and order people around and get those turtles. Added this big cape to the costume, and I was like, oh, what's going on here? But I guess it's funny. I guess it depends on who you talk to, and a lot of people come up and say, oh, I love the second film because it's so, it's so much more friendly or whatever. And then a lot of people come and say, "Oh, I love the first film because it was like dark, like it's supposed to be, and this and that." So yeah, I worked out for me.
They actually, when we went from the first movie to the second movie, there was a rule they had. Because they were trying to pull back the violence, the one thing that happened, Francois is right, they had to unkill the Shredder because they had to kind of go back and that. So Shredder came to life again, which was great for Francois and now great for us. But in terms of what happened fighting in the movie, there were two rules that happened in the second movie. One was no Ninja Turtle can use their weapon for any fighting. Now that's broken a little bit. Donatello does at one point in the lab hit a couple of guys with his staff. But Raph never uses his size except to catch a pizza, and Leonardo never draws his swords except to throw them up in the ceiling at the beginning and pull himself up. So there could be no cutting or of anybody like that. So weapons had to stay in during all the fight choreography. And the second rule was whenever a foot soldier or any of the bad guys would get knocked down by a turtle somehow, once they were on the ground, the rule was you had to continue to move around as if you were in pain, as opposed to laying there like you were dead.
Oh, wow.
So that's just a little thing that most people aren't aware of, but that was a rule we had on set. No foot soldier could be dead. So, so you noticed that, yeah.
And for some of us on the second and third more, they added more of that comedic kind of banter between us turtles, so that kind of lightened that as well.
Okay, thank you. I was always curious.
That's a good question.
That third movie was a screaming ADR session.
Yeah.
You guys must have done a lot of tremendous.
We got some more, and I'm gonna go right here, and then I'm gonna come up, and then 1, 2, 3, 4 right there. Then we'll get them. Here we go.
So my question is for you, Leonardo. So what was up with the voice casting? Because Raphael had at least 3 different voice actors. You were there in all 3. And Corey Feldman, he didn't return for the second, but he came back in the third. And then Michelangelo, Cousin Oliver, was in all 3. So what was up with the voice casting changing for Raphael?
Yeah. Well, it was funny because when I the way that I got involved is there was this thing called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and they hired somebody for Leonardo. I was working at the time on some other project, and I had no idea what this was. So they hired this guy for Leonardo, and they fired him. And then they hired another guy, and then they fired him.
They like to do that.
Yeah, they like to do that. That's a thing in Hollywood. They like to fire people. And so I came available, and I just happened to have worked with the casting director. I was cast in something that the casting director at the time had cast me in, and she called my agent and me and said, "Hey, Brian, would you like to, do this thing, or it's called the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie?" And I said I didn't know what that was. I didn't get the comic, and I wasn't watching the cartoon. I said, "But it sounds like kind of fun, And oh, do you hear that? Leonardo just came out. It just came out. Yeah. Anyway. So I went in and I just kind of felt the role. It was kind of the fun surfer dude kind of thing. And I do have kind of a timbre in my voice that kind of people recognize. And so I think maybe that's the thing that kept me on the show. I got along with everybody because I think I'm a nice guy. But yeah, that's sweet. But no, so basically, I was really fortunate, to be honest, to be asked back for the second and the third. Robbie Rist was the other one, but yeah, with Corey, he was late a couple times, so maybe they didn't want him back for the second. but I was just very fortunate to have the one, and I think they liked the fact that there was a semblance of order of in the next one and the next one, people still were able to relate to mine and Robbie's voice. So.
The Raphael actors, so how comes they had used 3 different actors? Is it because one actor didn't want to come back or fired?
They thought, I really don't know their full thinking, but I do know that they liked Robbie and I as anchors, and they figure maybe that, they can try different people. Corey worked. There was kind of a thing in his voice that kind of, slower, kind of, I can't do Corey. But they liked that, so they brought him back. But I think it was just their call, just to see what was, the development of how the show was going to be done, the second one, and the next development of the third.
As somebody who portrayed Raphael, I can speak to that. Josh Pace was the original Raphael, and Josh was the only actor in the suits who actually provided his own voice. But then when the second movie rolled around, Josh and I had a challenge death match, and I killed him. And he was not able to do the voice in the second movie. So I took over for Raphael, and they brought in another actor named Laurie Metcalf or something, I'm not sure, and he did the voice.
Laurie Faso.
Faso, there you go. Laurie Faso did the voice and did a great job, and his job was to imitate Josh. And then when the third movie rolled around, that was a whole other thing. That was a whole change of production and all that kind of stuff. So Josh, who did his own voice, just didn't come back for the second movie, and that's why.
Well, there you go. Not too bad.
Now I know, thank you.
There it is. Now we all learned something
Yes.
today, Brian. Speaking of Brian, this is Brian also. Here you go, Brian.
Yeah. That's Brian with a Y.
So this would be for all of you. I know you said that you didn't follow Turtles that much until you got in there, but have any of you actually met Eastman and Laird, either before or after the movies?
I've done a few cons with Kevin. Really nice guy.
I thought I met you at Huntsville, but I couldn't meet you and meet Kevin Eastman at the same time.
That's right. Yeah, no, it's hard to. His line is crazy, and it's constant, and it's like, oh, you're gonna go see Kevin. It's like, oh, well, you got a couple of hours to.
He travels with a bar though, so it's always fun to have a table next to him because they do.
Yeah.
Well, and he draws pictures.
Yeah,
there you
he
go.
does.
It's an interaction.
I
It's a
met
full thing.
Peter and Kevin when we were shooting, and they came and they hung out, on the set. It's funny because Kevin reminded me of it, and I was like, I think I was so wrapped up in what was going on. We had really long days that I didn't remember as much about the meeting. Not as much as when Jim Henson showed up.
Oh, wow.
That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, everything's a story. It's like you just drop that and be like, oh, and then that.
Yeah.
I was with Judith when Eastman and Laird showed up on the first set. I met them on the set of the first film. And they had stacks of comic books with them, and they were autographing and drawing little pictures and stuff like that. Subsequently, I would spend time with Kevin Eastman at cons and things like that, and his birthday party and all that kind of stuff. He's such a fabulous guy, but yeah, he was great. And then Jim Henson too. When he walked on the set, that was magical.
Whatever next.
No, I was going to say, Peter doesn't do the cons or anything, but Kevin, he's a lot of fun. He's a great guy. They're both
Peter,
nice.
I think Peter comes out once in a while.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he does. He doesn't like to fly. They kind of have to be close to home. And I think he just started like in the last, probably pre-COVID, but it's rare. It's rare.
Well, team, believe it or not, we are running short on time because that's what happens when we get to these. I'm going to do one more question. Yeah, I know they're everywhere. I know there's so many. I know. Judith, Judith, you choose the last one.
I saw you were one of the first people.
Yeah, we can go right here with David. David, there we go. She chose it, not me. Here you go.
Hi. My question happens to be for you, Judith. This is kind of a loaded question, but hopefully you can answer it well. If the Ninja Turtles crossed with Halloweentown, do you think they would get along with Marnie and her family?
Oh, yeah. I mean, in Halloweentown 3, it was Halloweentown High, so we had all these creatures that came from Halloweentown. So the turtles would have fit in very, very well. Yeah, that would have been a good mashup. Would have liked it. And anybody who didn't have their question answered, come and ask us.
These are some of the nicest people I've seen out there.
I just have one, before we run out of time, one last thing to say is that it's going to sound corny, but I feel really privileged and humble to be a part of this Ninja Turtles community, family, township.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hey guys,
Joe's ears with the microphone.
we got some. If anybody's interested in books, we've got some books over here too. Before we walk out, or you guys come back to tables and see us all on Turtle Row. But we'll be hanging out here for a couple minutes with you.
Please come see these awesome guys, everybody. The cast of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you were fabulous. Do we have enough time to invite everybody up and do a selfie?
Yeah, because it's your thing. So come on up, guys. Come up to the front here. We'll do this. Gather around. Yeah, come on. Turn around.
Alright, so we're gonna have to have somebody take.
Oh,
There's
these are-
Regina. There you go. Are we on chairs? One, two, three.
All right, now tag everybody on it.
Good job, everybody.
One more.
Let's do a funny one. Ready? One,
Hey, we're not-
two,
This is pretty funny.
three. Your face is funny. That's my girl. Thank you, guys.